On February 21st, we left Savannah and flew to Miami. After a layover there, we took a 3-hour flight to Guayaquil, Ecuador. After overnighting at a Hilton in Guayaquil, we took a 2-hour flight to San Cristobal. Here we are arriving at the San Cristobal airport. Checked for COVID. Approximately 21 Galapagos islands. We visited 6 of them. They're all desert islands with 2 seasons. July through December are cool and dry, and January through June are wet and warm. We took zodiacs, which are boats, pontoon boats, to go to the main ship, and here we encountered our first sea lion on the dock on the way to the zodiacs. And this is our ship, the National Geographic Endeavour 2, which was our home for 7 days. Every day we had the opportunity to go on group hikes, snorkel, dive, or just hang out at the beach. On day 2, we arrived at the island of Hispaniola. Encountered a lot of sea lions. The male sea lions are much larger than the female. You can distinguish them because they have a bump on their foreheads. Hang out and paddle around with each other. We see them on most islands. The people who scuba dive and snorkeled encountered them frequently in the water. The sea lions here walk like a typical 4-footed animal and can even gallop, but they are much sleeker at swimming. They have excellent underwater and hearing, which helps them to locate underwater prey. Males can weigh up to 550 pounds and females up to 220 pounds. Mating season. Males and females live separately in their own colonies. The bulls are largely polygamous and are not involved in parenting the pups. The next species we saw is the marine iguana. This is the only true marine lizard in the world and is native to the Galapagos. The males are larger than the females and can weigh up to 30 pounds and are able to swim and dive for algae. They lie in the sun to. Here is one with a mockingbird. On Hispaniola, the males turn red and turquoise and females are red during mating season. Here is a beautiful male. And these shorebirds are American oyster catchers. They live in the intertidal zone. They open crab shells with their strong beaks. They lay 2 eggs on an insignificant. When the eggs hatch, they are like chickens and are able to be up and about, following their parents almost immediately. These are magnificent frigate birds on the mast of our ship. We'll talk more about them later. This beautiful bird is a Nazca booby. There are 3 kinds of boobies: the Nazca, the red-footed, and the blue-footed. The Nazca is white and black with a gold beak and black feet. It is intermediate size between the blue and red-footed. They are seabirds, so they get their food by plunging. They're widespread throughout the Galapagos. The female lays 2 eggs, one larger than the other. When the second egg hatches, the stronger bird may knock its sibling out of the nest. But if the first bird dies, the parent boobies have insurance with the second hatchling. Here are 2 proud parents with their chick. The chicks are white, the juveniles are brownish and white, and the adults black and white. And this is a blue-footed booby. This is one of the most popular birds on the island. Everyone wants to see it. The blue-footed booby has phenomenal plunge diving abilities. They fish close to the shore, sometimes in water only 5 feet deep. They live in colonies, and they nest in shallow, flat areas on the ground. Males and females are differentiated by their eyes. The female has larger pupils, and she is larger and noisier than her mate. She honks, and he whistles. Male, this is a male here, does the booby two-step, or a dance, to attract the female. If she likes his dance, both point skyward with their wings, and mating ensues. This male has attracted a female. This is part of the coastline. Here we are on a hike. In the evenings, we had beautiful sunsets also, and recaps of what we saw during the day. Sometimes we saw films or heard music from local musicians. On day 3, we come to the island of Floriana. And here you see some beautiful flamingos there. The species of flamingo here is the Caribbean flamingo. They live on many islands of the Galapagos, always in brackish water. Inside their bills are a series of plates which serve to strain tiny invertebrate food organisms from the water and mud. The tongue serves as a piston, drawing water in through the front of the bill and then forcing it out the sides past the. They move their feet in the water to stir up food. They lay a single egg. The hatchling is a dull gray. It eventually turns brilliant pink from the carotenoid pigments of their diet. Courtship is a noisy dance by all the birds in the colony. Here we have more blue-footed boobies on a nest. And I'm not sure what this beautiful bird. Here is Guy on a Zodiac, preparing to go on a hike. This is one of the National Geographic guides we had. They were all very knowledgeable, very friendly, and we couldn't have been happier with the information that they gave us. Carlos, who was one of the drivers on the Zodiacs that got us to and from the islands. Yeah. We went on a kayaking trip one day, and these are the kayaks being brought back to the main ship. Here are some pelicans, similar to the brown pelicans we see here in South Carolina. Here we are at Post Office Bay. In 1793, the British navigators placed a large wooden barrel here to leave messages and mail for homebound voyagers. The tradition has continued to the present day. Place the barrels over time, but it's a way for visiting boats to send postcards home. We left postcards there, and we picked up others to hand deliver to other parts, for me, to other parts of South Carolina. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I haven't delivered them yet. Now we are at the island of Santa Cruz on our fourth. We come to the National Park of the Galapagos, where they do research on the animal. This is Gianna, one of our guides, telling us about what happens at this research facility for the giant tortoises. Here are some of the giant tortoise hatchlings. Giant tortoises only exist in the Galapagos, and barely. Humans, from the time of the Spanish and other sailors, would land at the Galapagos and take the tortoises back on their ships as a source of fresh meat. Probably as many as 100,000 of the tortoises were taken in this way. They could live up to a year without food or water, upside down in the hold of a ship. In the wild, a giant tortoise can weigh up to 600 pounds, and many live over 100 years. It is said that Spielberg used the face of the giant tortoise for a model for E.T. And at the research center, they had this model of Charles Darwin and his bust. This is in one of the squares in the small town where we were. This is one of the only inhabited of the islands. Inhabited by humans, that is. Here we are at a fish market, and you can see all the pelicans lined up to get their share of the food. And the fishermen would throw some in the air and they would jump and catch it. Now we visited a farm in the highlands where they grind sugar cane and make it into moonshine. Here is Salvador, one of our favorite guides, showing how the sugar cane is pressed to get the liquid out of it. Here is Salvador showing us how they roast and then grind the coffee beans. This farm, in addition to making moonshine and coffee, made delicious Here's the liquid that's fermenting to become moon. And here is the part of the distilling process. And the farmer here throws a cup of the liquid onto the fire, and you can see it burst into flame. The beautiful flowers in the Galapagos. This little guy would walk round and round to help grind the cane when the humans weren't doing it. We went to an area in the wild where these tortoises just exist on their own on the island of Isabella. There are both dome-shaped and saddleback varieties of giant tortoise. The saddleback, which you see in this picture, may have 4 or 5 nests per year with an average of 6 eggs per clutch. Gender of each tortoise is determined by air temperature. Warm nests produce more females, and cool nests more males. Now we visited a part of a farm that had lava caves because, as I said earlier, these islands are volcanic. The farmers found these caves on their island. They're very dark and moist. This is a male yellow warbler and a female. Another male. Darwin was famous for studying the finches there, and although we saw some, they were very hard to photograph. They were kind of ordinary looking birds. On the 5th day, we visited Dragon Hill. This island is what you might imagine a moonscape to be. Here I am holding a piece of volcanic rock, which despite its size was very light. From the top of the hill, you could see all of the bay. And you can see the tiny white speck there is our ship. This rock here is called Pinnacle Rock, and they're saying that at some point it will be falling into the sea as erosion hits it. Here we are at the top of the hill. The next species we're going to talk about is the land iguana. These are large yellowish lizards which live only on the island of Santa Fe. Males may reach 30 pounds. They're very territorial during mating season, and their territory may include 7 females. When we saw them, they were very placid and didn't mind posing for pictures. The female may lay a clutch of 20 eggs. When they hatch, they're preyed upon by predators such as hawks, owls, snakes, and herons. When they are not taken, they may live to the age of 60. Here's an old guy, maybe beyond 60. The next species we're going to talk about are Sally Lightfoot crabs. These brightly colored crabs, named for a Caribbean dancer, are seen on the coastline. They are primarily scavengers, surviving on any organic matter they can. For that reason, they help to clean up the coastline and keep the shores clean. On the sixth day, we went to the islands of Bartolomeo and Sombrero Chino, which means Spanish hat. Here is the island of Chinese hat on another hike. We're back in the zodiacs to see the Galapagos penguins. This is the only penguin that nests at the Ecuador and the only penguin to live in the northern hemisphere. This penguin is only 1 foot tall and is the third smallest of all penguin species. They live in the natural crevices and caves in the natural lava. Females lay 1 or 2 eggs and can breed more than once a year. Adults mate for life. They do not fly, but are great swimmers. They can swim up to 20 miles an hour. And once again, the divers and snorkelers would see them in the water. Here's one of the zodiacs after leaving us for a hike. Here's one of the zodiacs in the beautiful water, filled with people on their way to. And one day I went with a few people to a small beach where we saw many of the sea lion pups. Very happy, very. One came up to my blanket. I took this picture of one of our fellow passengers, and he said he was going to use it for his Christmas card. I am not sure what this bird is, but it has a large wingspan. This is a seal. They were very hard to spot. They lived in the crevices on the shore. And on day 7, we went to the island of Genevesa. This island is, we had to pass the equator to go to this island. It's actually in the northern hemisphere. Here's the Nazca booby. One of the booby chicks. This is the juvenile Nazca booby. So it's gone from being white to this gray, and it will finally end up black and white. Upon a group of 4 of the Nazca juveniles, and they were trying to fly. They did not get very high in the air, but they were just beginning. More of the beautiful adult Nazcas. And this is the Galapagos dove. They're very common in the arid parts of the island. They are the pollinators of a certain kind of cactus. Easily distinguished by their large blue eye ring. And this well-camouflaged guy is a short-eared owl. It's about 15 inches tall, and it hunts on foot, mostly on storm petrels, which is a seabird that nests in burrows. Since it has no predators, it hunts during the day. And this is the frigate bird. There are two kinds of frigate birds in the Galapagos, the magnificent and the great. And the ones we have pictured here are the greats. They have the largest wingspan to body weight of any birds in the world, making them very maneuverable. They are known as the pirates of the bird world, as they often steal fish from other birds, particularly the red-footed boobies. When ready to breed, the male bird pumps air into his bright red throat, his throat pouch, until it's the size of a balloon. As you can see, they look black in flight, but in the sunlight, their backs are actually an iridescent green. The adult female flies by, and when she sees his red pouch and hears his high-pitched cry, and he will shake and vibrate his head to attract her. If she chooses him, she will light beside him. He will put his wing protectively around her. The pouch is visible even when they're flying. Here is a female great frigate bird on her nest. She lays one white egg in a flimsy, low branch or tree. The chick is dependent on the parents for food for 1 year. A breeding pair only has one egg every 2 years. You can see how his pouch almost looks like a heart. And here is the male and the female together. You can actually see the veins. Now, this species is the red-footed booby. It's the smallest of the boobies. They're found in only 5 colonies on the islands. They prefer the outer islands with deep oceanic water. They may feed hundreds of kilometers off the shore. They sometimes accompany boats and feed on the flying fish that the ships stir up. The red feet are prehensile. The great frigate bird often tries to steal the fish that the red-footed booby catches for its young. This is a blue-footed booby again. And these are lava gulls. The most remarkable feature is the red ring around their eye and their loud, raucous calls. They have solitary nests, which are hard to find. And here again, we encounter more of the sea lion pups. They're just the cutest things. To roll in the sand and puddle on top of each other. I think the sand helps to keep them cool. Learning from a hike. On the 8th day, we go to the island of Baltra and then return to Guayaquil. Here we are at a park in Guayaquil where there are land iguanas all over this park, and the pigeons just lay all over them. And now it's time to say goodbye to the beautiful Galapagos. Los Galapagos.